My mother didn't lower her voice when she said it. She didn't hesitate either. You have 48 hours to get your things out. The house is Leela's now. The words landed clean, precise, like a notice taped to a door. My sister was standing behind her, already holding her phone, already picturing bridal reels and engagement photos on the staircase I rebuilt with my own hands. She didn't say anything. She just smiled, small, satisfied, curated. The house matched her wedding aesthetic: soft whites, natural light, southern charm. It would look perfect on her feed. I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. I didn't remind them who paid for the foundation repairs or the slate roof or the custom windows. I just nodded. 48 hours, my mother repeated, checking her watch like this was a dentist appointment. We need time to stage it before the rehearsal dinner. 48 hours to vacate the life I spent 5 years rebuilding. That was fine. Because 2 days later, when Leela walked through the front door with her bridesmaids and her ring light, she stopped smiling. Before I tell you what she saw, I have to ask you something. Have you ever been the one who built everything and still got replaced? Drop a yes if you know that feeling. 5 years ago, that house wasn't a wedding venue. It was a liability. A collapsing Victorian on a quiet street in Charleston with peeling paint, sagging porches, and a roof that leaked every time the tide rose too high. The city had already posted warnings. Another year without repairs, and it would have been condemned. It had belonged to my grandmother, Margaret Whitmore. She was the only person in that family who ever looked at me like I was enough without performing for it. When she passed, the house went to my father, Thomas Whitmore, along with its debts, its termites, and its crumbling foundation. He couldn't afford to save it, but I could try. I was 25, building my interior design firm from scratch, taking small commercial jobs, working out of coffee shops, reinvesting every dollar. When the contractor estimated $180,000 just to stabilize the structure, my father sat across from me at the kitchen table with red eyes and said, "Claire, this will always be yours. You're saving our family's legacy." So I emptied my savings. I skipped vacations. I drove the same aging car. I worked weekends sanding floors and sourcing salvage doors instead of dating. I wired fixtures myself. I negotiated supplier discounts at midnight. I built my business by day and rebuilt that house by night. Leela didn't lift a finger. She didn't need to. She was the golden child, the influencer, the bright one, the effortless one. She walked into rooms and people applauded. I walked in and asked what needed fixing. In our family, love wasn't unconditional. It was earned. It was negotiated. It was performance-based. And I was very, very good at performing usefulness. I thought I was investing in property. I was buying belonging. My mother didn't frame it as betrayal. She framed it as logistics. Leela needs the house for her wedding content, she said, like she was explaining a scheduling conflict. The brands are flying in next week. The bridal sponsor wants behind-the-scenes footage. This place fits her aesthetic perfectly. Leela nodded, already scrolling through mood boards on her phone. The staircase shots alone will go viral. The natural light in the dining room, it's unreal. This house is basically part of the campaign. Basically part of the campaign, not part of my life, not part of my work, not part of the 5 years I poured into it. My father avoided eye contact, staring instead at the hardwood floors I refinished myself. "It just makes sense, Claire," he muttered. "It's temporary. You'll land on your feet. Temporary." Like my place in the family, the house was finally perfect, which meant I was no longer necessary. That was the moment it clicked. I hadn't been a daughter, I had been a project manager, a contractor, a resource, and now that the project was complete, polished, profitable, photogenic, my contract had expired. Leela didn't have to earn space. She just had to want it. I had already served my purpose. That night I didn't cry, I made a list. Then I opened my contacts and called Marcus Hale, the head of an architectural salvage crew I'd worked with on high-end restorations across Charleston. "Marcus," I said when he answered, keeping my voice steady, "I need a full extraction, 48-hour turnaround." There was a pause. "Full extraction? If I paid for it," I replied, "it leaves." I walked room to room with blue painter's tape, tagging everything that had come out of my account. The marble island I imported from Carrara. The brass light fixtures I sourced from a closed hotel in Savannah. The custom reclaimed doors I restored in my own garage. The crown molding. The smart appliances. The antique hardware. A small voice in my head whispered about legal gray areas. Fixtures become part of the property once installed. Was I crossing a line? Then another voice answered. Who installed them? Who paid for them? Who was just given 48 hours to disappear? If I paid for it, it leaves. The crew arrived before sunrise through the back alley. No smashing. No chaos. Surgical. We didn't vandalize, we uninstalled. The marble island was lifted in one clean motion. Chandeliers were lowered gently into crates. Faucets unscrewed. Cabinet pulls removed and replaced with the cheapest contractor-grade knobs from the hardware store down the street. The custom doors came off their hinges. Hollow core substitutes went up in their place. Room by room, the illusion peeled away. By the second night, the house felt different. Stripped of glow. Stripped of warmth, it was empty, it was hollow, it was honest. When the last crate was loaded into the truck, I stood in the foyer one final time. I didn't destroy the house. I removed myself from it. I checked into a hotel across town and turned my phone off for 12 hours. When I finally powered it back on, the screen lit up like a crime scene. 26 missed calls. 14 from my mother, 8 from my father, the rest from Leela. The texts came in waves. Leela, what did you do? The brands are coming tomorrow. You ruined my wedding shoot. Another one, all caps, put it back. My father left a voicemail, his voice tight with fury. This is theft. You cannot just rip fixtures out of a house. I will call the police. Do you understand me? And then my mother's message, dripping with wounded righteousness. After all we did for you, this is how you repay us. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, listening to the panic echo through the speaker. Not one message asked where I was staying. Not one asked if I was okay. They weren't angry I left. They were angry I stopped paying. The next morning, a process server was waiting in the hotel lobby. He asked for Claire Whitmore like he was confirming a dinner reservation. Then he handed me a thick envelope. My father hadn't just threatened, he filed. The complaint listed theft of fixtures, property damage, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. He was seeking damages that exceeded $200,000, the loss of value I had allegedly inflicted on his home. I read it twice. For a brief moment, something cold slid into my chest. Had I miscalculated? Fixtures, once attached, could legally become part of the real estate. Had I crossed a line between reclaiming and retaliation? The panic lasted less than a minute. Then clarity returned. I didn't call my parents. I didn't respond to the threats. I called Ava Monroe. Ava wasn't just my best friend. She was one of the sharpest real estate litigators in South Carolina, meticulous, unflinching, allergic to bluffing. I'm sending you something, I said. Tell me if I'm in trouble. There was silence as she scanned the first few pages, then a small, controlled laugh. Claire, she said calmly, this isn't a lawsuit, it's intimidation. But if they want to play this game, we're going to read every document they ever signed. Ava didn't start with the renovation receipts. She went further back. 6 years back, to the year my father's construction business was audited by the IRS. I remembered the tension in the house then, the whispered phone calls, the locked office door. The sudden urgency. They were facing a potential tax lien, Ava said, flipping through county records on her tablet. If the audit went badly, the government could have placed a claim on any property under Thomas Whitmore's name. I felt a slow tightening in my chest. They transferred the house, she continued. Not to a trust, not to your mother, to you, I stared at her. That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense, she replied. It was a shield. Move the asset out of his name so it couldn't be seized. I remembered signing papers at the kitchen table. My father calling it temporary paperwork. My mother saying it was just procedural. They had framed it as protection, family strategy, something smart adults did. They never transferred it back, Ava said quietly. She turned the screen toward me. The deed was clear. Filed, recorded, dated 6 years ago, my name, sole owner. They resolved the audit, Ava continued. But reclaiming the property would have triggered transfer taxes and scrutiny. They left it in your name. I let the silence stretch. 5 years of renovations. 5 years of being told it wasn't mine. 5 years of emotional rent on a house I legally owned. Ava leaned back, voice calm and surgical. You're not the contractor, you're not the tenant. You're the owner. The words didn't feel triumphant. They felt clarifying. They didn't evict me, they tried to evict themselves. And for the first time since my mother gave me 48 hours, I wasn't reacting. I was deciding. The rehearsal brunch was already in motion when I arrived. White folding chairs lined the lawn. Cream-colored florals framed the porch I had rebuilt board by board. A catering van idled near the curb while someone adjusted a champagne tower beneath the oak tree. It looked like a magazine spread. It looked like ownership. I didn't come alone. The sheriff's cruiser pulled in behind my car, lights off but presence unmistakable. Deputy Collins stepped out with a folder in his hand. My father spotted me first. His expression shifted from irritation to fury in seconds. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, striding toward me. "This is my house." I met his eyes without raising my voice. "No," I said evenly. "It was your strategy." Leela appeared on the porch in a silk robe, mimosa in hand, whispering sharply to someone behind her. Guests had started to notice. Deputy Collins stepped forward and held out the document. "Sir," he asked calmly, "is this your signature?" My father glanced at the page. I watched the color drain from his face. His mouth opened, then closed. "It was temporary," he muttered. "We had an understanding." "Is this your signature?" the deputy repeated. "Yes. Then you are currently occupying property owned by Ms. Claire Whitmore. She has requested removal." My mother began protesting, her voice rising. I didn't. I looked at my father, the man who gave me 48 hours. "You have 48 minutes, I said quietly. "Gather your guests." Cold symmetry, no yelling, no chaos, just math. The wedding wasn't canceled. It was relocated. A last-minute ballroom off the highway near the airport, low ceilings, patterned carpet, fluorescent lighting that flattened everything it touched. The sponsorship deals quietly dissolved. The Charleston estate aesthetic never made it to Leela's feed. She blocked me that night. My parents moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. The kind with shared parking and thin walls. Word travels fast in Charleston, especially when court filings are public record. The lawsuit was dismissed within weeks. No theft, no damages. Just paperwork they hoped I'd never read. They stopped calling. I sold the house 3 months later. Even stripped, even raw, the structural upgrades made it valuable. I walked away with more than profit. I walked away with certainty. I used the capital to launch my own firm. Whitmore Legacy Design, named after the only Whitmore who loved without leverage. This time, I built something that belonged to me. I don't drive past that street anymore. Not because it hurts, but because it doesn't. The best revenge wasn't taking the house. It was realizing it was mine all along. For years, I thought I was fighting for space in a family that kept resizing me. I thought if I worked harder, paid more, fixed faster, I would finally become permanent, necessary, chosen, but some people don't miss you. They miss what you provide. When I removed myself from that house, I thought I was losing everything. What I was actually losing was the illusion that love had to be earned through sacrifice. Peace didn't arrive the day the sheriff spoke. It arrived the day I understood I never needed their permission to stand on ground that already belonged to me. If you've ever been the foundation no one thanked, this story was for you.